Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, March 6th Jupyter IPython developers call. We are following an agenda on Dropbox paper, and I will drop the link to that into the chat. We are getting started with updates on Notebook from Thomas.
Yeah, so a couple of points I wanted to mention. First, one that's kind of gone under Notebook that could have gone a few places, that Tornado 5.0 is going to be released soon. That's quite a big change. It means that Tornado is running on top of async.io on Python 3, and this has various consequences for a number of our packages because we use Tornado both for the Notebook server and for the Python kernel. So it will. We think we've patched the main sort of incompatibilities, but there may still be issues. Like there's an issue open with people who are running async.io manually in their Notebook code, because it's, they try to run the async.io event loop and get an error message saying it's already running. So there's going to be a bit of working out to do with that. And the other thing was just that I think we should start aiming for a Notebook version 5.5 release, because there's been quite a few fixes that have been merged since 5.4. So we should just start looking at getting those out to people.
Is there any guidance for extension authors as to how to update their extensions to be compatible with Tornado 5.0 specifically?
I don't think so. I would imagine that most extensions probably won't need changing, but do you have a specific extension in mind you're thinking of?
Oh, no, some of them that I've, like the Jupyter Lab LaTeX one, but I think we're using Gen coroutine. Like that, I'm not concerned about myself so much as in general for all the server extensions that are out there. If we change our code base, if they don't know, and there's no easy path for them to change theirs, they might not, and it might just break. And suddenly, it'll be sad.
I think if it breaks, it should be fairly obvious how to fix it. Like
Okay.
we've only had to make a couple of small changes, but they were changes where, like, until we made them, it just completely didn't work with Tornado 5.
Got it. All right. Thanks.
Sorry, Carol, for cutting you off there.
No. I was jumping in. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, we've been running it on Jupyter Hub for quite a while now through tests and stuff. And I think, like Thomas said, the tests will fail pretty quickly if there is an issue. And then it's pretty much stripping out. There's some API calls that no longer exist. So it'd be just updating those. So, but we could put a note in when we do the release, just saying, be aware this Tornado is a backwards breaking change. So
I think that'd be great. Thank you, Carol.
Okay. Anything else on Notebook before we move on to Jupyter Lab? No. Okay. All right. Looks like Jessica, you have some notes under Jupyter Lab.
Yeah. Anyone else feel free to add anything to the section. So I have trying to add the banner to the website that advertises the release of the beta series of Jupyter Lab. Matthias has given me some feedback. I think I've gotten some additional feedback from Ryan, and I'm still working through it. I think I probably would like, I'm probably going to try to struggle a little more because my CS isn't necessarily that strong just to go through the suggestions that Matthias has made, but I probably will want some advice if I'm still flummoxed because, again, as I said, that's not my area of expertise, and I'm mostly trying to piece together what Cameron has done given where the website is now. And so, yeah, I would appreciate reviews or feedback. And then also, I'm trying to reorganize the README so that we have, so that we're trying to point people more to the documentation. So expect a PR on that. I'm still working through figuring out what stuff from the README and the contributing MD can be moved into the main documentation, because we do have some things that are a bit redundant. And then I think I see Ian and Jason are typing some things. Jason wrote that 0.31.11 has been released. I can give it to you, Jason, if you want to mention anything else with that. Jason?
Yeah, I think Ian is hitting the points in the notes. Basically, there was a ton of feedback that came back after our release, which was great. This is exactly what we wanted. And there's been a ton of polish and cleanup from that avalanche of issues. Yeah, so we've had, I guess, several releases, patch releases since the beta was released, and we're working towards beta 2.
Okay, anything else on Jupyter Lab before we move on? Okay, so Jason, looks like you're next with any updates on Jupyter widgets?
Yeah, I think the big update is a huge guest post that was done on the Jupyter blog. Please share if you want to on social media, etc. It was a guest post done by several interns at Société Générale, and they really have put a lot of work into the stuff behind the post as well as the post itself. And these are the sorts of guest posts that are fantastic to see on the Jupyter blog. Other than that, we've had a few bug fixes. I'm still planning on releasing a new version of IPyWidgets with these bug fixes soon.
Okay. M, doesn't look like you have any updates on NB Convert. Is that accurate? Okay. All right. And we will skip over services. Peter is out, not feeling well, and I believe Min is at an event today. So we'll move on to updates on Jupyter Hub.
So work continues on all projects, including some foundation work on Jupyter Hub 0.9. We've been participating in some of the Kubeflow calls within the Kubernetes community, and Kubeflow is supposed to be a way to easily provision machine learning, deep learning tools on Kubernetes. It's still kind of a project in flux, but we did go through and land some PRs just to clarify some things about Jupyter Hub and the notebooks and things like that. And we'll continue to sit on those. And Temp NB was closed. Min sent a message to the mailing list, and now it will, our demos and things will be running on Binder. And that's about it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Carol. And so now we'll move on to anything that wasn't covered in the rest of the agenda. It looks like there's some notes in there. Tim, do you want to talk about the user testing?
Yeah, so G's wrapping up his Data Voyager extension, so we can run that live in the lab. And he's done with his end as far as getting it to work, and then Voyager has a hang-up that they said it's going to take about a week to fix on their end. So I don't know, that could turn into a month, who knows? But we're developing a user test for as soon as it's ready to go in live, and then that will be ready.
Okay, great. Thomas, looks like you have a note in there also.
Yeah, this should really have been under the notebook heading, but I forgot about it, so I've cheekily snuck it in here. Is that the development on Phantom.js, which is the JavaScript tool we use for testing the notebook at the moment, has officially been suspended. So just to point out, that's another good reason for us to move our test suite over to Selenium. which there's an open issue about for anybody who wants to contribute to that process. It's quite a big task overall, but it should be one that breaks down quite easily into smaller tasks.
Does Selenium use the headless Chrome? I guess I'm a little confused about Selenium versus PhantomJS versus the headless Chrome or Firefox.
So Selenium provides a programmatic interface for driving a browser, which can be the headless Chrome or Firefox, whereas PhantomJS provides its own headless browser based on WebKit. Sorry.
Got it. So moving to Selenium means that we can take advantage of a number of backends, including headless Chrome or headless Firefox.
Yeah. Which, then also means that because we're testing on real browsers that people actually use rather than the WebKit that Qt or whatever it is ships with, we don't have to limit the browser features so much.
And NBGrader's been using Selenium for a while now too. So there's code in there if folks want to check out how to use it and stuff.
And
if I remember also correctly, Selenium test can be written in Python.
Yes.
And writing JavaScript test in JavaScript seems to be a good idea at the beginning, but might not have been.
Yeah, writing the tests in Python feels a lot nicer than callbacks everywhere.
Is NBGrader pretty happy with this decision, or are there other drivers that they wish they would have gone with, et cetera? Okay.
I think it was just it's been the thing to use for user interface testing in the Python web development world for a long time. So.
Okay.
Alrighty, so anything else that didn't fit into the rest of the agenda?
So I can make JupyterCon updates.
Sure, go ahead.
So the program committee will, I'm not really active on GitHub because I'm doing a lot of work behind the scene for JupyterCon, which is moving forward fast. So the CFP is ending tonight. We are still expecting a number of proposals today, seeing the curve that we had last year. I don't want to give any numbers. So the program committee is almost done. We'll try to get a two weeks and a half review period. It's still difficult to organize and get all the pieces in place for the review to start. So if you're a reviewer, sorry if you hadn't gotten any news by now. We're doing the best we can. So we probably need to have an update on the website that we will merge around midnight tonight to say that the CFP is closed. And side note, if you're making PRs to the main Jupyter website, now we, in the testing part at the bottom of the PR next to Travis, you have a second link by Netlify. So every PRs are automatically deployed on the staging website with a random URL. So you can just push and then Travis will build and you can see how the website will look once the PR is merged without actually deploying, which is nice if you want to make your PR be reviewed. And so we're still working also on the tutorial side and also training side for JupyterCon, and we'll give more news as soon as possible.
Okay, great. Thanks for that update, Matthias. So moving on to conferences and workshops, there's two I want to highlight. One is the Jupyter pop-up, which is March 21st in Boston. That's being hosted by O'Reilly, NumFocus, and Project Jupyter. Take a look at the agenda. I believe Matthias is speaking, Paco Nathan speaking. There's a few great speakers lined up, and we also have Jupyter Day in Atlanta, which is being organized and led by Tony Fast. Also, several key contributors speaking at that event. I believe the CFP for that is still open, and they're taking submissions and proposals for presentations still. Otherwise, definitely tickets are on sale, so we encourage the community in Atlanta to join that event. And then we have our running list of events. Is there anything else or any other event anyone would like to highlight or chat more about? We also have our open CFP sections as you come across events that have open calls. Please share that with the community in this forum. So if there's no other events that anyone wants to highlight, I think we'll move on to the last section, which is just reminding you to repeat the releases. So if you have releases that went out last week, releases planned for this week, or anything that's coming in the next 2 to 3 weeks, please add that to the very bottom of the agenda. And it looks like we've reached the end of the agenda. So I will go ahead and close things out. It was good to see everyone. And I hope
Actually, Matthias had a question that he asked in the text that.
Go ahead.
I can follow up on GitHub with that if you prefer.
Oh, okay, sure. All right. Sorry, I thought that was a question for the group. Apologies.
Well, no, it's fine. It was just a comment because you were here and you mentioned Jupyter Lab LaTeX, so I will open an issue and discuss that with you.
Okay, sounds great. All right, bye everyone. Hope you have a great week.